Good morning, dear students. Today we are going to learn about reported speech. So let's start. The act of reporting the words of a speaker is called narration. There are basically two ways in which the words of the speaker can be conveyed in writing. And the ways are direct speech and the second is indirect speech. Direct speech, which we call it direct narration also. The reporting of the words of the speaker without making any changes to it is known as direct speech. Now, direct speech is shown inside double quotation marks. Indirect speech, which we call it indirect narration, the act of reporting the words of the speaker by making necessary changes to it is called indirect speech. Indirect speech, while narrating something, changes are made in the original words of the person. For example, tenses and pronouns are changed according to the reporting verb. For example, my mother told me, you have to work harder at school. Now this is direct speech. Now when converted into indirect speech, my mother told me that I had to work harder at school. This is indirect speech. You can see the difference. In the first sentence, we have used inverted commas, double inverted commas. And in the second sentence, when converted into indirect speech, there is no comma, no inverted commas. Now, basic rules of speech and conversion. Firstly, we'll talk about direct speech. Separate the reporting verb from the direct speech by a comma. Second, put the words spoken by the speaker within double quotes or double inverted commas. Third, begin the first word inside inverted commas with a capital letter. Now, these few rules we have to keep it in our mind. In indirect speech, change the reporting verb according to the sense conveyed by the speech. Second, do not change the tense of the reporting verb. Third, remove the comma separating the reporting verb from the direct speech. Fourth, remove inverted commas. Fifth, introduce the indirect speech by some connectors like that, if, whether, what, where, how, why, etc. depending whether you want to transform a statement, question or request as the case may be. Sixth, convert all kinds of sentences into assertive statements. Seventh, make other necessary changes in person, verb forms, time, place and expressions. Now some changes to consider. First person, as we all know, I, we, etc. change according to the subject of the reporting verb. Second person, you, your, etc. change according to the object of the reporting verb. Third person, he, she, it, they, his, her, etc. makes no change. And change first person into third person if the reporting verb has no object mentioned. Now, few rules for changing simple direct speech into indirect speech. Firstly, as I told you, remove separating comma, inverted commas and use the connectors that when there is no object in the sentence. For example, he said. Just see after said there is comma. Then double inverted comma with the direct speech. I work in a shipyard. Now when converting it into indirect speech, as I told you that we have to remove comma and double inverted comma. He said that he worked in a shipyard. Same as Sheena said, my teacher is highly educated. Now when converting it into indirect speech, Sheena said that her teacher was highly educated. Now changes into reported speech with respect to the tense. Let me tell you, dear students, that direct speech is divided into two parts. As I have already told you in my classes that it is divided into two parts. The first part is known as reporting verb and the second part means the part that is there in inverted comma is known as reported speech. Now changes into reported speech with respect to the tense. Rules of conversion, direct into indirect. Now simple present tense changes into simple past tense, and we all know the verb forms. For going through the direct and indirect or the reported speech, it is must to know the tenses, because when you will know the tenses, then only you will be able to convert it. So the verb forms should be there. Yes, he said, I do not like computers. This is simple present tense. Now while converting it into simple past tense, he said that he did not liked computers. They said, we love our country. Converting it into indirect, they said that they loved their country. Now, present perfect changes into past perfect. Now, she said, he has finished his work. You can see subject plus has plus third form of the verb is what? Present perfect tense. Now, we have to change present perfect tense into past perfect tense. What is the verb form for past perfect tense? That is subject plus had plus third form of the verb. She said that he had finished his work. Now, present perfect continuous changes into past perfect continuous. Now, the verb form for present perfect continuous is subject plus have been plus ing form of the verb. Same as the verb form for past perfect continuous is subject plus had been plus ing form of the verb. Example is, he said, I have been studying since 3 o'clock. Now, in indirect speech, he said that he had been studying since 3 o'clock. Now, simple past tense changes into past perfect tense. Simple past tense, the verb form for simple past tense is subject plus second form of the verb. For example, my teacher said to me, you answered correctly. Now, when converting it into past perfect tense, my teacher told me that I had answered correctly. Now, past continuous changes into past perfect continuous. The verb form for past continuous is subject plus was verb plus ing form of the verb. Now, they said, we were enjoying the weather. They said that they had been enjoying the weather. When we talk about the past perfect continuous, the verb form for the past perfect continuous is subject plus had been plus ing form of the verb. Past perfect remains past perfect, means there is no changes. Alright, if the sentence of direct speech is in past perfect tense and when converting it into indirect, it will remain same. For example, he said, I had started a business. He said that he had started a business. Now for future tense, simple future means future indefinite. Will changes into would. He said, I will study the book. He said that he would study the book. Future continuous will be changes into would be. Shreya told him, I will be waiting for you. Shreya told him that she would be waiting for her. Future perfect will have changes into would have. He said, I will have finished the work. He said that he would have finished the work. Narayan said, I will have gone Narayan said that he would have gone. Now, summary of changes. Changes of verb forms. Now, is, am, are changes into was, were, has, have, had, go, went, did, had plus third form of the verb. Was, were, had been, will, would, shall, should, can, could. Means changes of verb forms means, as I told you, that simple present will convert it into simple past. Like these are the verb forms. Now second is changes of pronoun. First person according to the subject. Second person according to the object. Change to third person if the reporting verb has no object. We have to keep these things in our mind while doing the conversion. Third person unchanged. Now time, place, expression and other changes. Now we'll convert it into then, ago, before, today, that day, last night, the previous night or the night before. You may use any one. Next week, the following week, here, there, hither, thither, this, that, thus, so. So dear students, while doing this reported speech, keep it in your mind that you need to be updated with the verb forms. That is the most important part. Thank you. I hope you like the video. Have a nice day ahead.